So the Proud Boys leader, his name is Enrique Tarrio. Now let's get to that for a second before I even get into the full story. Enrique wouldn't even be allowed into this country. It wouldn't be for Black Americans. And we got to start making sure to let other groups know that you would not be allowed in this country. It wouldn't be for us. Them folks that you trying to suck up to, those white supremacist males, they weren't advocating for Cubans to come here at all. That's not what they're advocating. And the Cubans they did advocate for was the Mzungu Cubans. Why? Do the history research into that. Because they didn't want to be under Fidel Castro because he was making things equal. They wanted to continue an unequal white supremacist system in Cuba. And Fidel Castro wasn't having that. And that's why many of them ran to the United States. Okay? But understand something. Nobody would be here. It wouldn't be for Black Americans. Because when them folks was coming in to Ellis Island and all that, it was for Europeans. It wasn't for people that look like no Enrique Tarrio. Don't let them people come over here and tell you, well, what did you do and how we need to be thanking you. You owe everything to Black Americans. You sure do. And prove that you don't. You have not had no advocates to get you over here prior to what we done. Because these people act like they can just disrespect Black folk. But continuing. So they're saying that not only that this cat got arrested, but he's being sued for damaging a Black Lives Matter sign at the Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C. And they put him at the forefront. And their lawyer, Kristen Clark, is part of that lawsuit. She said, we are suing the Proud Boys and their members for the racist attack on the Metropolitan AME Church in Washington, D.C. This attack was one of several levied against churches targeted for their support of the Black Lives Matter movement. The Proud Boys is not above the law. And do you know that's what they did even to the KKK? They hit them with so many lawsuits, they didn't have money to run like they used to. And that's what you got to do with the Proud Boys. Once you start hitting them with lawsuits, you start hitting them also with depositions about where their money coming from. Because in them depositions, they got to give that up, where the funding is coming from. On December the 12th, they say the Proud Boys took part in the protest over Donald Trump losing the 2020 election. 4 churches were vandalized, including the Metropolitan AME Church, Asbury United Methodist Church. They said Tarrio has admitted to burning a Black Lives Matter banner that belonged to the Asbury United Methodist because he claimed BLM has terrorized the citizens of the country. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. That's a freaking lie. Black Lives Matter actually only come out unless somebody's killed. So how they terrorizing anybody? Freaking liar. But you know what? If you worry about Black Lives Matter so much, go back to Cuba. How about that? Black Lives Matter is not running Cuba, is it? Just go back to Cuba. No harm, no foul. And you got to see Black folk. Well, Black people are in Cuba. Let me not say that. But the people that you're talking about, which is Black Americans, we aren't there. They say after the incident, they say in a piece that William Lamar, which is a reverend of the Metropolitan AME Church, said they replaced the banner, but says America needs to address its issues with racism. It said it mattered not that land was ours, it mattered not that the sign was ours. It said, wrote the pastor in his op-ed for Washington Post, the mythology that motivated the perpetrators on Saturday night and say was the underbelly of the American narrative, that Mzungus can employ violence to take what they want and do what they want and call that criminality, justice, freedom, and liberty. That's true. Now, say the lawsuits says that the Proud Boys should be held responsible for their actions and call them out for attempting to intimidate those who seek to eradicate racial justice. Now, the Metropolitan AME Church is a historic Black church in the heart of Washington, D.C. It brings the suit against the Proud Boys and its leadership and certain other members engaging in acts of terror and vandalizing church property in an effort to intimidate the church and silence the members for supporting racial injustice. So this Enrique Tarrio guy was charged with a misdemeanor count of destruction of public property. He also had received a bail. He bailed out, but they also told him he had to leave Washington, D.C. He could not be there until his next hearing. So he's been barred from the city as of right now. But this Enrique Tarrio guy or anybody that's supporting white supremacist groups, they need to be called out. Now, let me say something to, a lot of people you're talking about. There really is a lot of people calling this out. I'm hearing a lot of silence. A lot of black people now are saying, hey, you see, there's no black and brown alliance. And say, so where'd that come from? Because we're seeing people like Enrique Tarrio doing this to black folks. We're seeing other incidences happening by our so-called brown brothers, and nothing's being said. Now, when you're silent about some things, that's not good, because the voices get louder and people believe that. So some people tell me behind the scenes, well, we don't feel like that. And I'm not saying everybody in the brown community feel that way. Don't accuse nobody of that. There's no all to anything, right? But I do believe that those who are part of your activist groups do need to come out and condemn the Enrique Tarrios or anybody else who's being, white supremacist to the black community. Because if you're silent about it and don't say anything, then it leads people to believe that you are in agreement with it. You understand? So come out and say something. There's many activist groups out there who are within a brown community, and they just need to address that. That's the only thing I'm saying with that. It's just a suggestion from me. I'm not saying it has to be addressed, but what I'm told behind the scenes is what I'm addressing publicly. That's why I'm saying that. This is a solution to what a lot of people are telling me behind the scenes. I'm not accusing everybody. I never do accuse anybody of anything, everybody. But I'm saying is those who are part of activist groups come out and condemn the Enrique Tarrios of the world. Because if you don't condemn them, then he's making y'all look bad in that area. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this situation where the Proud Boys leader was arrested for burning a sign. He going so hard in the paint. Now it's quite funny. He was arrested, but the Mzungus wasn't. He didn't do it by himself. That dummy don't even see that they'll come after him, but won't even go after the. Oh boy! At the end of the day, haven't y'all realized you're not? Listen, let me explain this to you. You're not white, okay? I know some of you want to be. You're not white. I know they'll play that game with you and they'll blow smoke up your butt and all that, say how much you better than white people. You're not white. You're not. Sorry, you're not. Enrique almost dark as me. He's not white by a long shot. I know you take that classification to heart, some of you, that you call white by race. That's done to finesse government funds to their community. It doesn't even go to your community. You ain't figured that part out? The finesse? But I hate to break the bad news, to some people that's watching. I know I hate to break it, but that's just part of my job. I got to inform you and give you the truth. But leave me a comment, guys. Let me know what you think about this situation, and make sure you subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel. We don't want people to casually just coming by and listen, but make sure you subscribe and click that notification button, because some people not knowing what's going on. And check the channel daily. I always tell people that. Check this channel every day to see if we got videos, because what happens is people aren't getting any notifications, so you'll have to manually go check the channel daily.